The love and hip-hop world has been shaken to its core tonight. Yandy Smith, the powerhouse businesswoman, mother and fan favorite, is reportedly fighting for her life after a tragic late-night car accident that left everyone in shock, including her husband, Mendeecees Harris, who was seen breaking down in tears outside the hospital. According to initial reports, Yandy was driving home from a charity event in Atlanta when her SUV collided with another vehicle at high speed. Witnesses described a horrifying scene: flashing lights, twisted metal, and paramedics working desperately to free her from the wreck. As news broke, fans flooded social media with prayers, hashtags, and heartbreak. But the emotional moment that truly broke everyone came when a video surfaced of Mendeecees outside the hospital, visibly shattered, pleading for updates about his wife's condition. For a man known for his composure and quiet strength, seeing him cry like that tore through the internet. Now the world wants answers. What really happened that night? How bad are Yandy's injuries? And can their marriage, already tested by years of separation and public scrutiny, survive this devastating blow? The night started with laughter, music, and inspiration, but it ended in tragedy. On what was supposed to be a celebration of Yandy Smith's growing community outreach initiative, LHHNY, the love and hip-hop star's evening took a devastating turn that would leave fans, friends, and family praying for a miracle. It was around 10:40 p.m. when Yandy left the event in downtown Atlanta. Witnesses say she looked radiant, smiling, greeting supporters, and talking about her plans to expand the organization nationwide. She even shared a few posts on her Instagram story, thanking everyone for showing love and reminding young women to keep shining even when it's dark. But less than an hour later, that optimism would collide literally with tragedy. According to preliminary reports from the Atlanta Police Department, Yandy was driving her black Range Rover northbound on Peachtree Street when another vehicle, a silver Dodge Charger, allegedly ran a red light at full speed. The impact was brutal. Yandy's SUV spun several times before crashing into a streetlight, leaving the front of the car completely mangled. Witnesses nearby rushed to the scene as the sound of metal scraping against concrete echoed through the night. One bystander, who works at a nearby restaurant, recalled the horrifying moment. "All I heard was this loud bang, and when I ran outside, I saw the SUV crushed up. The driver wasn't moving. People were screaming her name when they realized it was Yandy." Emergency crews arrived within minutes, cutting through the twisted metal to reach her. The paramedics worked frantically to stabilize her before rushing her to Grady Memorial Hospital, where she was admitted in critical condition. Details about her injuries remain scarce, but hospital sources have confirmed she sustained multiple fractures and internal injuries. By midnight, news of the crash had spread across social media like wildfire. Fans began posting clips of Yandy's last Instagram story from earlier that evening, her radiant smile now serving as a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. The hashtag Pray for Yandy trended within an hour, with thousands of messages pouring in from fans, celebrities, and former castmates. Mendeecees Harris, who had been in New York for a business meeting, reportedly received the call about his wife's accident shortly after it happened. According to close sources, he immediately boarded a red-eye flight to Atlanta, breaking down mid-flight after learning the extent of her injuries. He was in shock, a source shared. He kept saying, "Please tell me she's breathing. Please tell me she's still here." When Mendeecees finally arrived at the hospital early the next morning, paparazzi captured him visibly distraught, tears streaming down his face as he paced outside the emergency room doors. He refused to speak to the press, only whispering, "Pray for my wife." That moment alone broke the internet, as fans saw a side of Mendeecees few had ever witnessed: raw, terrified, and completely heartbroken. Inside the hospital, family members began gathering one by one. Yandy's mother reportedly collapsed upon hearing the news, while her children were kept away from the hospital for their own emotional safety. Close friends like Rashida Frost, Candy Burras, and Erica Dixon were among the first to show up, bringing food, comfort, and prayer circles that lasted through the night. By dawn, conflicting reports began to swirl online. Some outlets falsely claimed Yandy had passed away, causing mass panic across social media. Her publicist quickly released a brief statement to clarify the situation. Yandy Smith Harris is alive and currently receiving the best possible medical care. Her family appreciates everyone's prayers and asks for privacy during this difficult time. That statement brought some relief, but not enough. Fans wanted more details. What exactly happened? Was alcohol involved? Was the other driver okay? Atlanta police confirmed that the driver of the Charger was a 27-year-old male who sustained minor injuries and was being investigated for possible DUI. Sources later revealed that witnesses smelled alcohol on his breath, though official toxicology results were still pending. The revelation infuriated fans, many of whom flooded the alleged driver's social media with angry comments. "You destroyed a family because you couldn't be responsible," one wrote. "She was out here helping the community, and you almost took her away from it." Meanwhile, Mendeecees was reportedly struggling to hold it together. A family insider described him as broken but trying to be strong for the kids. The insider said, "He hasn't left the hospital since he arrived. He's been sitting by her bed every single minute, holding her hand, talking to her. Even though she's sedated, doctors have confirmed that Yandy suffered multiple fractures to her ribs and leg, as well as a punctured lung, but that her vital signs were slowly improving. She's a fighter," one nurse shared. "Even in her condition, her body is responding well. It's like she refuses to give up." Outside the hospital, fans gathered with candles and posters, turning the entrance into an impromptu vigil. Many spoke about how much Yandy had inspired them over the years, from her activism during the Black Lives Matter protests to her advocacy for prison reform while her husband was incarcerated. "She's more than a reality star," one fan said through tears. "She's a leader. We can't lose her." The love and hip-hop community, too, united in rare solidarity. Even castmates who had feuded with Yandy in the past, including Kimbella, Vanderhei, and Chrissy Lampkin, shared heartfelt posts wishing her a speedy recovery. Chrissy wrote, "No matter what's been said, no woman deserves this. Praying for healing and strength." The message shocked fans who remembered their long-standing tension, but it also showed just how deeply Yandy's accident had shaken everyone. Meanwhile, VH1 executives reportedly reached out to Mendeecees privately, offering any form of support needed for the family. The network also postponed upcoming promotional events. Releasing a statement of their own, Yandy Smith Harris is part of the heart and history of this franchise. "Our thoughts and prayers are with her, Mendeecees, and their family during this tragic time." As night fell again, Atlanta felt different. The city that had once buzzed with lights and music now seemed quieter, almost mourning alongside her. The sound of prayers, the flicker of candles, and the distant hum of cars passing the same intersection where everything changed filled the air. For Mendeecees, every second felt like an eternity. He reportedly replayed their last conversation over and over in his mind. A simple FaceTime call earlier that night where Yandy told him, "Drive safe. I'll see you soon." The irony of those words haunted him. Friends say he's been keeping a journal during his nights at the hospital, writing letters to Yandy that he reads aloud by her bedside. He tells her he's sorry for every argument, every moment he took for granted, a source shared. He keeps saying, "Just come back to me." By the third night, doctors began to see signs of progress. Yandy's breathing had stabilized, and though she remained unconscious, her vital signs improved significantly. "It's still too early to tell, but she's fighting," one doctor said. "She's fighting," one doctor said. That glimmer of hope was enough to ignite another wave of support online. Celebrities like Cardi B, Tamar Braxton, and Remy Ma all posted messages of encouragement. Tamar wrote, "God's not done with you yet, sis. The world still needs your light." Through it all, one thing became clear. Yandy Smith wasn't just another reality star in the headlines. She was a mother, a wife, a leader, and a survivor. And though the road to recovery looked long and painful, everyone who knew her agreed on one thing. If anyone had the strength to come back from this, it was Yandy. Because if there's one thing she's proven time and time again, it's that even when life hits hardest, Yandy Smith never stays down for long as the night stretched on. The energy outside Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta was nothing short of chaotic. Fans, family members, and members of the Love and Hip Hop crew had gathered in silence, clutching candles and phones, waiting for any bit of information about Yandy Smith's condition. The paparazzi tried to capture every moment, but even they kept a respectful distance as Mendeecees Harris, a man who had always carried himself with calm confidence, broke down completely. Inside sources confirmed that Yandy had suffered multiple fractures and internal injuries after her SUV was struck on the driver's side by a truck that allegedly ran a red light. The impact was so strong that her vehicle spun twice before slamming into a pole. Emergency responders had to cut her out of the car when Mendeecees arrived at the scene. He reportedly screamed her name as paramedics loaded her onto a stretcher. Witnesses described him falling to his knees, unable to speak, staring at her motionless body as they rushed her into the ambulance. That image haunted everyone who saw it. A husband watching the woman who held his life together, fighting for hers, by dawn. Social media had exploded with messages of support. Hashtag #PrayForYandy was trending worldwide. Celebrities like Kandi Burruss, Rashida, and Erica Dixon sent out emotional posts, calling Yandy one of the strongest women they knew. Even former rivals like Chrissy Lampkin expressed heartbreak, writing that, despite their differences, Yandy doesn't deserve this. Nobody does. But behind all the sympathy and prayers, there were questions. What really caused the crash? Some fans began speculating that Yandy might have been distracted on the phone, while others claimed a drunk driver was responsible. The Atlanta Police Department released a brief statement, confirming that another driver had been taken into custody for questioning after failing a field sobriety test. That man's identity, however, was kept private pending investigation. For Mendeecees, the hours became days. He reportedly refused to leave the hospital, sleeping in a waiting chair outside the ICU. Cameras caught him pacing back and forth, face buried in his hands, whispering to himself. One nurse who spoke anonymously said he just kept saying, "Please, not her. She's my everything." It was hard for fans to watch. This was a couple who had already survived so much. They'd made it through his time in prison, public scrutiny, and countless relationship rumors, but nothing had ever tested them like this. When Yandy first gained consciousness after surgery, Mendeecees was the first person she asked for. He reportedly broke down again when she squeezed his hand, whispering through tears, "I thought I lost you." Doctors explained that Yandy's recovery would be long and complicated. She'd suffered broken ribs, a fractured hip, and a concussion that left her disoriented for hours. Still, the fact that she was alive was considered a miracle. Meanwhile, VH1 producers paused filming for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, stating in a press release that the health and safety of our cast come first. But behind the scenes, whispers began that the network was planning to address the incident in the upcoming season. Some crew members even hinted that Yandy's accident might spark one of the most emotional storylines the show had ever seen. In the midst of all this, Mendeecees took to Instagram with a heartfelt post. It wasn't polished or rehearsed, just raw emotion. He uploaded a black screen with the caption, "She's my best friend, my partner, my everything. God, please give me one more chance to tell her how much I love her." That post quickly went viral, amassing hundreds of thousands of comments. Fans flooded his page with messages of hope and prayer. But one comment in particular stood out. It was from Yandy's son, Omer, who wrote, "My mom's a fighter. She's coming home soon." That small message brought everyone to tears. Even Mendeecees reshared it, adding, "That's right, son. She's the strongest woman I know." Still, the emotional toll was impossible to ignore. Insiders claimed that Mendeecees had barely eaten or slept in days. Close friends like Kirk Frost and Lil Scrappy reportedly visited him at the hospital to offer support. Kirk was seen hugging him tightly in the parking lot, while Scrappy told reporters, "Man, seeing him like that broke me. That's real love." Meanwhile, Yandy's team issued a short statement to the press, thanking everyone for their prayers and confirming that she was stable but still in critical condition. The statement read, "Yandy is receiving the best possible care. We ask for privacy and continued prayers as she begins her road to recovery." But even as the world prayed, some fans couldn't help but notice how different Mendeecees seemed. His once confident, guarded demeanor was gone. He looked broken, almost like a man realizing how fragile everything really is. Rumors started swirling that the couple had been facing quiet marital struggles before the accident, that the tension between them had been growing. If true, the accident might have been the moment that stripped everything else away and reminded him of what really mattered. Those close to the couple said the tragedy had completely shifted Mendeecees' outlook. He was overheard telling a friend, "All the small stuff doesn't matter anymore. If she pulls through, I'll never take her for granted again." The footage of him sobbing in the hospital hallway continued circulating online, sparking an outpouring of empathy. Fans who once criticized him for being emotionally distant were now seeing a different side, a man utterly devastated, praying for the woman who gave his life meaning by the end of that week. Doctors said Yandy had shown remarkable progress. She could breathe without assistance and even managed a weak smile during one of Mendeecees' visits. According to witnesses, when he saw her open her eyes fully for the first time, he cried openly, telling her, "I thought God was taking you from me. I'm never letting you out of my sight again." It was a moment that reminded everyone watching why people fell in love with their story in the first place. Beyond the fame, the money, and the reality TV drama, there was something real there, something powerful. The tragedy that almost tore their lives apart had become a moment of reflection, not just for them, but for everyone who'd followed their journey. As one fan wrote, "We watched them fall, fight, and rise. But now we just want to see them heal." The following weeks felt like an eternity for Mendeecees and those who loved Yandy. What began as chaos and heartbreak slowly shifted into cautious hope. Doctors confirmed that Yandy was no longer in critical condition. And though she still faced several surgeries and months of physical therapy, her body was responding better than anyone had predicted. To many, it felt like divine intervention. The hospital waiting room, once filled with fear and tears, began to fill with quiet relief. Mendeecees spent nearly every waking hour at her bedside, refusing to return home even for a change of clothes. Nurses described him as the most devoted husband they'd ever seen. He would sit beside Yandy's bed, holding her hand, whispering prayers, and reading to her when she couldn't speak. On one emotional afternoon, as the sunlight poured through the blinds, Yandy finally opened her eyes and whispered, "I heard you crying." Mendeecees froze. He hadn't expected her to remember anything from the night of the crash. But she continued softly, "I wanted to tell you I was still here." Those words hit him like a wave. He broke down again, pressing his forehead to her hand, repeating, "You've scared me, baby. I thought I lost you." Days later, as Yandy's strength began to return, she made her first public statement from her hospital bed. In a short video posted to her Instagram stories, her voice was weak but steady. "I'm alive. God is real. And I want to thank every single person who prayed for me. I don't take this second chance for granted." The video racked up millions of views within hours, and fans flooded her comments with love and support. But even as her recovery continued, the emotional aftermath of the crash revealed deep cracks, not just in her physical health, but in her marriage. Sources close to the couple said that Yandy's near-death experience forced both of them to confront things they had been avoiding for years. Fame, long-distance work, and public scrutiny had all taken a toll. Before the accident, one insider revealed they were just going through the motions. After it, they realized life's too short for pride. Mendeecees later confirmed this in an emotional Instagram Live. Sitting in his car, his eyes swollen from crying. He said, "I don't care about TV. I don't care about fame. I don't care about what people say. I just care about my wife. That woman has held me down through everything. My mistakes, my time away, my flaws, and I thought I was about to lose her without saying how much she means to me." The internet lit up with empathy. Fans reposted clips of his live stream with captions like, "This is real love and Mendeecees finally understands what he's got." As Yandy continued to heal, she and Mendeecees started using their platform to raise awareness about reckless driving and road safety. They partnered with an Atlanta-based nonprofit that helps victims of car accidents and began organizing a fundraiser in Yandy's name. Despite her physical pain, she insisted on being involved, saying, "If God let me live through that, it's for a reason." VH1 producers reached out to the couple, suggesting they document this new chapter of their life for Love and Hip Hop's upcoming season. While Yandy initially hesitated, wanting privacy, she eventually agreed, but only if it would focus on healing and growth. "I don't want pity," she told the producers. "I want people to see that love and faith can rebuild anything." When filming resumed, the first episode opened with Yandy walking slowly into her home, leaning on Mendeecees' arm for support. The cameras captured the raw emotion of that moment, her children running to hug her, tears streaming down their faces. Mendeecees whispered, "Mommy's home," and for the first time in weeks, their house felt whole again. Fans watching the scene later described it as one of the most powerful moments in Love and Hip Hop history. Gone were the staged arguments and reality TV theatrics. What they saw instead was a family that had survived something real. Still, the journey wasn't easy. Recovery brought physical pain, emotional exhaustion, and nights filled with fear. Yandy admitted in a later confessional that she still struggled with nightmares about the crash. "Sometimes I wake up thinking I'm still trapped in the car," she said, tears welling up. "But then I see Mendeecees beside me and I remember I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm still here." For Mendeecees, the experience completely transformed his priorities. He turned down several TV and business offers to spend more time with his family. "Money can't buy another heartbeat," he said in one interview. "I learned that the hard way." The couple began attending church together again, leaning heavily on faith to rebuild what life had nearly taken from them. Yandy's